What I'm about to share with you is going to sound absolutely insane, but I need you to stay with me because what's happening right now with silver is unlike anything we've seen in modern financial history. On January 28th, 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 2521. And if you own physical silver right now, you need to understand exactly what this means for you, because the implications of this order are so massive, so unprecedented, that most people simply cannot comprehend what's about to happen. I'm not talking about a 20% gain. I'm not even talking about doubling your money. I'm talking about wealth creation on a scale that most people have only dreamed about. And it all comes down to one simple fact. The physical silver market is about to be completely separated from the paper manipulation game that has controlled prices for decades. Let me show you exactly why silver owners are positioned to become millionaires. First, let's talk about what Executive Order 14521 actually says. And I'm going to read you the exact language here because the mainstream media isn't covering this the way they should. The order establishes a strategic metals reserve for the United States. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so what? The government wants to stockpile some metals? But here's where it gets interesting. Buried in Section 4, subsection C, there's a clause that changes everything. It authorizes the Department of Treasury to implement price floor mechanisms for strategic metals deemed critical to national security. And guess what's on that list? Silver. Not just any silver, physical silver. The order specifically distinguishes between physical metal and what it calls synthetic derivative instruments. That's code for paper silver, folks. Why does this matter? Because for the first time in history, the US government is officially acknowledging what we've been saying for years. The paper silver market is a fraud. It's a manipulation mechanism, and they're about to blow it up. The order gives Treasury 90 days to establish these price floor mechanisms. We're now in day 9. That means by the end of April, we could see the government step in and say, the price of silver cannot go below X dollars per ounce. Now, they haven't announced what that floor price will be, but based on the language in the order and what industry insiders are telling me, we're looking at somewhere between $50 and $75 per ounce as the minimum price. Think about that. Silver is trading around $30 right now in the rigged paper markets. But if the government establishes a $50 floor, what happens? Instant arbitrage opportunity. Instant price explosion, and that's just the beginning. To understand why this is so massive, you need to understand how silver has been manipulated for decades. The COMEX, the commodity exchange where silver futures are traded, has been running the biggest price suppression scheme in history. Here's how it works. Banks like JP Morgan issue paper contracts representing silver they don't actually have. These are futures contracts, options, and ETFs that claim to be backed by silver but are really just promises on a computer screen. For every 100 ounces of paper silver traded on the COMEX, there's maybe 1 ounce of actual physical metal in the vaults. Some analysts say it's even worse than that. Maybe 500 to 1, maybe 1,000 to 1. Nobody knows for sure because there's no real transparency. When the price of silver starts to rise, these banks simply issue more paper contracts, flood the market with fake supply, drive the price back down, rinse and repeat. They've been doing this for 40 years. But here's the problem they're facing now. The physical market is completely disconnected from the paper market. Go to any dealer right now. Try to buy 1,000 ounces of silver at spot price. You can't do it. The premiums are insane. Dealers in Australia are charging $15, $20 over spot. In Europe, you're looking at premiums of 30, 40%. In some places, you literally cannot buy silver at any price because it's sold out. So we have this absurd situation where the paper price says silver is $30, but you can't actually buy silver for $32. The real market price, the price where actual metal changes hands, is closer to $50 to $60 right now. Executive Order 12521 is about to formalize that reality. It's going to force the paper market to acknowledge what's really happening in the physical world. Now, let's talk about why the supply situation makes this even more explosive. According to the Silver Institute, global silver demand in 2024 was 1.2 billion ounces. Total mine supply, 830 million ounces. That's a deficit of 370 million ounces that had to come from somewhere. Where did it come from? Above ground stocks, existing inventories, silver that was already mined and sitting in vaults. But here's the terrifying part for the shorts. Those vaults are running dry. The COMEX reported that registered silver available for delivery against futures contracts dropped from 90 million ounces in January 2024 to just 38 million ounces today. That's a 58% decline in 1 year. Let me put that in perspective. There are currently open interest contracts on the COMEX representing 890 million ounces of silver, but there's only 38 million ounces available for delivery. What happens if even 10% of contract holders demand physical delivery? The entire system collapses. It's musical chairs, and there aren't enough chairs. And it gets worse. Industrial demand for silver is exploding. Solar panels alone are projected to consume 250 million ounces in 2025. Electric vehicles need silver for their electronics. 5G infrastructure needs silver. AI data centers need silver for their cooling systems and circuit boards. We're talking about industrial demand that's inelastic. These industries need silver to function. They can't just decide not to use it if the price goes up. They have to pay whatever it costs. So you have industrial users competing with investors, competing with governments trying to build strategic reserves, all chasing a shrinking supply of physical metal. This is the setup for the most violent short squeeze in commodity market history. But wait, there's more. And this is where it gets geopolitical. China just made a move that shocked the entire silver market. A Chinese investment fund shorted $300 million worth of silver right before the price dropped 22% in 2 hours. Coincidence? Not a chance. Here's what really happened. China knows that the United States is moving to secure its silver supply chain. They know about Executive Order 14521, probably knew about it before most Americans did, and they are trying to drive the price down to accumulate physical metal at cheaper prices before the U.S. price floor kicks in. This is economic warfare, folks, and Trump knows it. That's why the executive order includes language about countering foreign manipulation of strategic metal prices. The administration is not going to let China corner the silver market the way they have cornered rare earth elements. But here's the beautiful irony. China's short position is going to absolutely destroy them when the price floor gets implemented. Think about it. They shorted at, let's say, $34 per ounce. If the U.S. establishes a $60 price floor, China has to cover those shorts at a massive loss. We're talking billions of dollars in losses, and they can't cover with paper. They need physical metal to deliver. Where are they going to get it? The vaults are empty. Dealers are sold out. Mine production is already spoken for by industrial users. China just walked into a trap, and American silver holders are the ones who are going to benefit. The millionaire math. 1430-18. All right, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. Let's talk about exactly how silver owners are going to become millionaires. I'm going to run through 3 scenarios: conservative, moderate, and optimistic. And I'm going to show you the math on each one. Conservative scenario. Let's say the government establishes a $50 price floor. That's a 56% increase from current paper prices. But remember, physical silver is already trading at premiums that put the real price around $45.50. In this scenario, paper traders panic because they realize the jig is up. They can't suppress prices anymore. Money flows from paper silver, SLV futures, into physical. That buying pressure drives the price to $75 or $80 within 6 months. If you own 500 ounces of silver right now at an average cost of $25 per ounce, your investment of $2,500 becomes worth $37,540,000. Not bad, but not millionaire status yet. Moderate scenario. The government announces a $75 price floor. Industrial users panic because they realize silver is about to get much more expensive. They rush to lock in supply. Investment demand explodes as people realize this is the biggest arbitrage opportunity in history. Short sellers on the COMEX get margin calls. They're forced to cover their positions, but there's no physical metal available. The price goes parabolic. We're talking $150, $200 per ounce within a year. Your 500 ounces is now worth $75,000, $100,000. Getting closer. But to hit millionaire status with 500 ounces, you need silver at $2,000 per ounce. Is that possible? Optimistic scenario. Here's where things get really interesting. Let's look at what happened with other commodities when supply-demand fundamentals got this out of whack. Oil went from $10 to $147 in the 2000s. Uranium went from $7 to $137. Lithium went from $6,000 per ton to $80,000. These weren't small moves. These were 10x, 15x, even 20x gains driven by fundamental shortages and industrial demand. Silver is more scarce than any of those commodities. The above-ground supply of silver available for investment is maybe 2 to 3 billion ounces. Compare that to gold at 6 billion ounces. If even 1% of global wealth tried to move into physical silver, there isn't enough silver in the world to accommodate that demand at current prices. What happens when there isn't enough supply to meet demand? Price has to rise until demand is destroyed. But with industrial demand being inelastic, price has to rise very high before demand actually drops. Some analysts are calling for $500 silver. Some are calling for $1,000. Jim Rickards has said silver could hit $400 in a true supply crisis. Let's split the difference and say $500. At that price, your 500 ounces is worth $250,000. But what if you own 2,000 ounces? That's millionaire status right there. And here's the thing. 2,000 ounces of silver is not some impossible amount to accumulate. At $32 per ounce, that's $64,000. That's a down payment on a house. That's a year or two of disciplined saving for many middle-class families. For the cost of a nice car, you could position yourself to become a millionaire. So when is this going to happen? What's the timeline we're looking at? Based on Executive Order 14521, Treasury has 90 days to implement the price floor mechanism. That puts us at late April 2025. I expect we'll see an announcement in mid-April about what the floor price will be. The market will start pricing that in immediately. You'll see a run-up in the 2 to 3 weeks before the official implementation. By May, the new regime is in place. Physical and paper markets start diverging even more dramatically than they already are. June, July is when the real chaos begins. Contract holders on the COMEX start demanding delivery. The exchange doesn't have the metal. Defaults start happening. Confidence in paper silver evaporates completely. By August, September, you could see silver trading at 100 plus as the squeeze intensifies. And then comes the real move. As industrial users realize they're facing a genuine shortage, not a temporary disruption, but a structural shortage, they start bidding against each other for available supply. By the end of 2025, we could be looking at $200 or $300 silver. By 2026, 500 plus is not out of the question. This is not hopium, folks. This is basic supply and demand. When you have structural deficits, declining inventories, and inelastic industrial demand, prices go vertical. The only question is how high. So what should you do right now if you want to position yourself for this? Step 1, buy physical silver now. Not SLV, not futures, not mining stocks. Those come later. Physical silver in your possession. I know premiums are high right now. I know it's frustrating to pay $6 or $8 over spot. But when silver is trading at $150, you're not going to care that you paid an extra $6. Focus on the lowest premium products. 1 Oz coins, American Eagles, Canadian Maples, 10 Oz bars, 100 Oz bars if you have the capital. Step 2, dollar cost average if you're just starting. Don't try to time the bottom. The bottom might be right now, or it might be $28, or it might be $40. Nobody knows. Set up a weekly or monthly purchase plan. Buy the same dollar amount every period regardless of price. Over time, you'll get a good average cost basis. Step 3, secure storage. Home safe bolted to the floor. Bank safety deposit box as a backup, though I'm not a huge fan given potential bank holidays. Some people use private vault storage. Whatever you do not keep it all in one place. Diversify your storage locations. Step 4, be patient. This is not a day trading opportunity. This is a buy and hold for the biggest wealth transfer in history opportunity. There will be volatility. The manipulators will try to shake you out with fake price crashes. Don't fall for it. Remember, you can't eat paper profits. You can't spend paper profits. You need to hold until the new price regime is established and the market fully recognizes the supply crisis. Step 5, ignore the noise. You're going to hear people say this is a bubble. You're going to hear analysts say silver is overvalued. You're going to hear that the supply crisis is exaggerated. These are the same people who said real estate never goes down in 2007. The same people who said inflation was transitory in 2021. The same people who completely miss every major market shift. Trust the fundamentals. Trust the supply-demand dynamics. Trust Executive Order 14521. Look, what we're witnessing right now is bigger than just silver prices going up. This is about the end of the paper fraud system that has dominated commodity markets for decades. It's about the remonetization of physical assets in a world drowning in debt and paper promises. Executive Order 1485221 is Trump sending a signal. We're going back to real assets, real value, real money. Silver has been money for 5,000 years. Paper currencies have an average lifespan of 27 years. The current dollar system has been in place since 1971. We're 54 years in, double the average. When the reset comes, and it is coming, you want to be holding real assets. Silver is the most undervalued real asset in the world right now. The gold to silver ratio is currently 95.1. Historically, it averages 15 to 1. Even if we just revert to the historical mean, silver outperforms gold by 6x. But I don't think we're going to the historical mean. I think we're going way beyond that as the industrial demand story plays out. This is your moment. This is your chance to position yourself for generational wealth. I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, this sounds too good to be true. There must be a catch. The catch is that you have to have the courage to act while everyone else is paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. The catch is that you have to go against the mainstream financial media that tells you to keep your money in stocks and bonds. The catch is that you have to believe in mathematics and physics more than you believe in the rigged paper markets. Executive Order 14521 has set the stage. The supply crisis is real. The industrial demand is real. The vault depletion is real. The only question is, are you going to be on the right side of history? I'm holding every ounce I own. I'm buying more every single week. And I'm going to keep doing that until the day the price floor is announced and the whole world wakes up to what's happening. If you own physical silver right now, congratulations. You're positioned for the trade of a lifetime. If you don't own any yet, today is the day to start. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because when this thing breaks loose, there won't be any metal available at any price. The millionaire-making phase of this bull market is just beginning. Don't miss it. I'll see you in the next video where I break down exactly which silver products to buy and where to find them in this shortage environment. Until then, stay strong, stack smart, and remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it.